actually going live right now on the Whitehall Borough Democratic Committee page. And then once it's finished, and you can download it, we'll be putting it other places like probably the Whitehall.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Martin Smutzer, and I'm the chair of the Whitehall Democratic Committee, which means nothing tonight because this is a bipartisan event with the Democratic and Republican candidates for Whitehall Council. Some of you may be wondering why in a primary we would be hosting and paying for an event like this. You know, before a primary election, a bipartisan event. And the genesis of it started 2 years ago. And 2 years ago, there were 4 seats up for council, and only 1 Democrat ran, and 5 Republicans ran. And 3 of the Republican candidates ran write-in campaigns and captured the Democratic nomination. And we adopted them. And 2 of them I knew very well. Linda Book, who comes from a very good Republican family in Whitehall for years, and a friend for 30 years, and Bill B, who I've known for 30 years. And it was great to have those 2 and support them on the Democratic side. And then a new guy named Stone Soborowski, who I never knew before, and I thought it was a funny first name. But, you know, he got nominated and elected, and it's good to forge friendships with both sides of the aisle. Maybe Washington, D.C. can't get along, and maybe Harrisburg, Pennsylvania can't get along, but I think we in Whitehall can. This event would not occur without the help and work of a lot of people. So I would like all the Whitehall Democratic Committee people to just stand up and be noticed. I also would like my friends on the other aisle, the Republican Whitehall Committee members, to stand up. Before I introduce the moderator, I would be remiss in not recognizing 3 gentlemen who have served a long time on Whitehall Council, and I want to thank them for their service and their dedication. Phil Lahr, it's very hard to be an elected individual in a borough or a township or school district or whatever, so I thank them for their service. And this is the first time that we've ever had so many candidates run for council. We have 10 total, and I want to congratulate the 7 newcomers who were challenging both on the Democratic and Republican side for a seat on council. Because anytime you put your name on the ballot, it's a very courageous act. So thank you for you doing that also. I would now like to introduce our moderator. David Marinick is our moderator tonight. He's a former state representative, and he's a partner with Eckert Siemens Law Firm in downtown. He has such a long resume that I'm going to have to do something I usually don't do, and that's read a little bit. I'm going to read it all. I've known him for 30 years. I never knew he was this impressive. All right. Dave's a 1970 graduate of North Hills High School, and he was on the track, football team, and shot put. David went on to graduate He played on a partial track scholarship in shot putter in college. He got an Associate's in Arts from Community College of Allegheny County. He earned a Bachelor's of Justice from the University of Pittsburgh. He graduated from the Allegheny County Police Academy. He received an MPA, which is a Master's in Public Policy, from Pitt's Graduate School of Public and International Affairs. And he's a law school graduate from Wiseman Law School. And Dave wanted to do three things growing up. He wanted to be a law enforcement officer, he wanted to be an elected official, and he wanted to be a lawyer. And he accomplished all three things. He began his law enforcement career as a radio dispatcher in Westview. At 21 years old, he then became an elected councilman in Westview Borough. He was both a policeman in Westview and a dispatcher. He scored 100% on the Allegheny County Sheriff's Department test and went on to be a deputy sheriff for Allegheny County for 8 years. While working the uniform division and homicide, he was in the fugitive squad in the homicide task force. David and his partner captured 18 escapees and 126 felons. He's certified in everything, and at 29 years old, he decided to put his toe in the big waters, and he ran for state representative. Served a couple terms with Whitehall as Westview Borough Council. Then he was elected to the board of Pennsylvania Boroughs Association. At 29 years old, he beat an incumbent Republican in a district with 44% Democrats, and he went on to capture 71% of the vote in all the subsequent elections, which is a very, very hard thing to do. He served 20 years. He served under 5 different governors. He was the prime sponsor of 11 bills, and 21 amendments were signed into law. He's a strong supporter of the Second Amendment, and he's responsible for the law that required side stops on the school buses, defining deputy sheriffs as Allegheny County police officers, requiring bars and taverns to be vacated a half hour before the legal serving time. He introduced all kinds of legislation, and he brought tens of millions of dollars into his home district. Now, they loved him so much up in his area that they named the Marinick Avalon Public Library, the Avalworth School District David Marinick Fieldhouse, the Marinick Center at Accord, baseball fields in Ross Township. I thought you had to be dead to have stuff in it. Yes. So, anyway, David had the unique ability, like I do, to agitate both Democrats and Republicans simultaneously. Even though he won his district with 71% of the vote, he proceeded to get gerrymandered out of his district by the Democrats who were in power. And the reason why is because he was an independent voice and an independent vote, and they didn't like that. The bosses wanted him to come under him. David he was a board member of the University of Pitt for 14 years. He's on all kinds of boards and charities throughout Allegheny County. And on a personal level, he's married. His wife's an engineer. His 2 daughters are both in the finance field. He's been a friend of mine for over 30 years, and he's going to do a great independent job tonight as moderator.
All right, Marty, thank you for that introduction. I've never done this before, so this is all new to me being a moderator. I've been chairman of 3 committees in the Pennsylvania House of Representatives, chairman of the property facilities at the Airport Authority, and at the University of Pittsburgh. I taught grad school for 12 years as adjunct and had many panelists that I was in charge of. So never done this before, so bear with me as we go. And if you don't like what I did or do tonight, I will give you back half of my salary and compensation for tonight. But just understand, half of nothing is nothing. So, as we move through there, the rules of the game tonight, are that we will start with the alphabetically. I don't know who's the incumbent, who isn't. I really don't care. I look around and I'm in Ohio Township. That's the other part of the world. It's over the other side of the river. It took me forever to get here. I know 2 people in this room tonight and 2 other acquaintances, so I really don't know anybody here. You know, it's kind of negative here with who I know. So we're going to start alphabetically. First question here. The next question will go to the next person on down. 2 minutes a person. We have Cindy here as our great assistant. At 30 seconds up, she will raise the card and let everybody know. When you get to the 2 minutes, we would ask you to stop. I'm going to bang a little gavel here. It says you're done. Please obey the rules. When we come to the closing, what we'll do is we'll do it in reverse. We will start with Lacey Thomas and move back the other way. I've received several questions from people in the audience. It's going to be difficult to cover all those questions because if you have 2 minutes each candidate times 10 candidates, time adds up and we have limited time. I'm sure that the candidates will be happy to stay afterwards and talk to you and discuss the several issues. As I said that I'm not knowledgeable about Whitehall Borough, I am very impressed about Whitehall Borough. Home rule since 1975, 3.3 square acres, or square miles, includes how many streets? Who knows how many streets in Whitehall?
712.
Nah, come on, too high. This is like Easter egg hunt, warmer, colder, come on, yes.
120.
117, good answer, okay. Of the 220 census, this is very impressive. You see, Allegheny County lost 50,000 people. And it was just in the Post-Gazette the other day, whether you read it or not, I do. And the population here is 15,014 people. Since 2010 census, you increased 1,120, which everybody else is going down, you're going up. Notable accolades that I was impressed of: named one of 2 most livable communities in Metro Pittsburgh by the PAH Technical Services Advisory Corporation that advises about employee relocations. The other thing is your public library. 90% rating, the top 25 in the whole Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. That's very impressive. So whatever you're doing there, I have a library named after me. We're not even close, so I'm jealous. We're going to change that. The 20 full-time police, you have 7 dispatchers, 7 administrative staff, 10 library staff, 10 public works employees. But overall, the people that you will be listening to tonight will be controlling your most important asset is your lifestyle and your pocketbook. You have a budget of $12,064,000 as a balanced budget here in Whitehall. So one of the questions we're going to ask, and nobody knows what these questions are yet, but they're basically general questions, is if you have to make a change, one of the questions is if you're going to make a change, and what will you suggest you change, and how will you pay for it, and what will you do away with? Okay, because we all don't want to spend more money at our kitchen table. So we want to hear from our elected officials or potential elected officials about that. So as we interview the candidates tonight, we have 5 Ds, 5 Rs. I don't know who this is. I don't know who's an R, who's a D, who's a incumbent isn't. So I guess I'm the right guy for that. They're all competing tonight for a whopping salary. Now hold on. $313.57 a month, or $3,762.84 a year. So these people, God bless you for coming out here and doing this, for a 4-year period for that. And anybody that talks about a new person coming in, don't worry about a new person, because the township will pay a nominal fee, as every other borough is a township. I'm sorry, the borough will, for newly elected officials to go to what we call boot camp. It's a 2-day tutorial of how to be an elected official. It's put on by the Pennsylvania Borough Association or by the ALA, Allegheny County League of Municipalities. So that's the basis. Any questions from the field before we start? Good. Good crowd. I like it already. All right, so let's start with the gentleman at the end. I can't see your name. I apologize. And it's a basic question, all right? Give us some of your background, tell us why you're running, what do you think should be done? And I would encourage you, it's up to you, but if I was there, I'd stand up and talk, that's up to you. Your time will start whenever you start speaking. It's the same question for everybody going down the line. So Sean?
Hello everyone, my name is Sean Crane, and I'm honored to be here tonight to run for Whitehall Council. So a little bit about my background, I just want to share a little bit about it. So I've been a lifelong resident of Whitehall my entire life. I have a deep love for this community, and I grew up in a family-owned business where it instilled value and hard work into me. With that, I'm running because the citizens need a voice, and I want to be the voice for them. I feel like the communication needs to be a little better between council and the residents. My background is in landscaping, and I have 2 decades of it, and I feel that I can use that to make better parks, a better community, and yeah, I'm honored to be here tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Sean.
Hello, I'm Ethelyn Iger. Thank you, Mr. Moderator, fellow associates here in government, and our guests here tonight. Some of you know me from the loudmouth and who speaks up at council, just the mom who lives on Southview Drive. But what you don't know about me is that I worked as judge of elections here at Allegheny County, and within this room here for judge of elections for 3 years in an elected capacity. And also, that wasn't even my first go at government. I worked at the Bettis Laboratory, where I operated the world's fastest supercomputers, which it took a congressional line item budgetary item to make that go, because the Department of Energy and the U.S. Navy does not like waste, fraud, and abuse. They like the ability to audit. They like the ability of people who know what they're talking about to write letters to the Navy to explain what they're doing, to have engineers to rise up and say when projects are going wrong. Those were the Rickover principles that I'm most proud of. The thing that I would change most about Whitehall and how would I pay for it is to open the communication, open the doors of government, and bring a sense of open government, to have open office hours of our elected officials, and to have open committee meetings so that there isn't a bunch of criminals.
Thank you, ma'am.
Well, welcome to this Robbins time. We had one of these many years ago. My name's Phil Lard. I worked in 2 psychological research companies with a top secret clearance. I managed the department. They were very secretive and very interesting to work in. I own my own advertising agency and printing company in McKeesport. I'm a member of St. Gabriel's and I'm a Eucharistic minister. I serve the shut-ins communions every week, 3 days a week, plus service in the church. That doesn't make me better than anybody else. What it does is try to help you, to give you a better place in Whitehall, which we think we've done. We've taken the time, we've proved it. Not many places will be putting in a $6 million pool, and everybody's got to be satisfied until it's finished right. We protected it, We built this building over again on grant money from Whitehall and many other kind of things. The police department in '84 when I was on, and had to come back in and fight for it. I don't believe that all those things that I am important. I'm not. Neither is Bob nor Glenn. We did those things because the borough needed them. They needed the new firehouse. I've been a fireman for 53 years. Lived in the borough for about 58. I gave of myself to this community. Thank you.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
No.
Yeah, 30 seconds. Half your salary is gone tonight.
That's right. And half of mine's gone. You're right. You're right, mediator. When you get $300
A month.
a month, yeah, and I spend $5, something wrong here.
All right, your 30 seconds starts now.
And a fireman, of course. I managed the fire company for 10 years as the president, and I want us to keep going. I don't dislike anybody. I love all of you. I'm demanded to do that. Now, I don't care who wins. If their heart, their soul will be in every move to make it better than we did, because those in front of us made it better. And I just want to continue that.
Hi everyone, my name is Tristan Muchetti and I live on West Barland Drive, just off of Provost. I've lived in Whitehall since 2015, moved here with my wife, Teresa, who is a registered nurse, and my son, Rory, who's 9 years old and finishing up 3rd grade at Whitehall Elementary. We moved here from living in the city for 10 years, and while that's fun to live in the city, we're happy to work in the city and have easy access to everything. When it came time to raise a family, we needed to look for a better place to live. And that better place to live was Whitehall. Not long after moving here, both my wife and I decided to get more involved in the community. Her with the Whitehall Borough Recreation Board, and me with the Whitehall Democratic Committee, as well as the Baldwin Manor Association, which runs the Baldwin Manor Park. And it was interacting with both of those groups and hearing more and more people being unhappy with how some of the direction Whitehall was going. Not every direction, but there were some parts that people were unhappy with, that I decided to put my name in the ring to run for office. So that's why I'm up here. A little bit of my experience: I work for the University of Pittsburgh. I have since 2006, and I'm currently an assistant director with their health science library. As a part of that role, I am in charge of overseeing their $8 million a year budget, as well as a $16 million a year federal grant. Both of those things require immense oversight, proper spending, both keeping under budget as well as making sure what is being spent properly and with what's supposed to be done. I'm running today, up here today, to try to help make Whitehall, to continue Whitehall, and to help make Whitehall better for the future and for future families like myself. Thank you.
Hi everybody, my name is Bob McCown. I'm a CPA and I've actually lived in Whitehall Borough all my life, maybe for a few short years while I was in college. I grew up on Earlsdale, right up the street from Andy, lived on South Passage, and then when I got married, raised my family on the other side of Whitehall behind Baldwin High School in East Lock, and where I presently live at Mortgage Drive. I have a bachelor's degree in accounting from Robert Morris University, like I said, I am a CPA. I got over 40 years experience. What I'd like to do is just continue the good work that we've done with the succession planning we've put in place with all the people that we have here and the replacements that have taken over from the people who have retired. And we've been putting forth the balanced budgets each year and working on prioritizing what monies that we do have to spend, like the pool, that was the biggest project, and we're working on a 5-year program with our parks and trying to keep their infrastructure up and running and keep it effective for and make nice amenities for everybody to utilize in the neighborhoods. And that's basically it. I'll just defer to the rest of the questions. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Usually people don't need a microphone to hear me. David, thank you for all the kind words you said about Whitehall. We're proud to have been part of making many of those things happen. I've been in Whitehall. I can't say all my life like everybody. I was born in Castle Shannon, moved to Whitehall when I was 5 years old, so that was a long time ago. And my class was the founding class of Spittler School, which is now the Wesleyan School on Cassidy Drive. Went there, went to Whitehall Junior High, Baldwin High School, Washington and Jefferson, got a degree there, and then I got a master's degree at the University of Pittsburgh. Been on council for quite a while. One of my mentors was our friend back there, Andy Sackmar, who got me interested in the borough. While I was in college, I worked on the road crew for 5 years, and just continued living in Whitehall and trying to do the best we can with the funds that are available for all the people. Sometimes it's a tug of war. You can't please all the people all the time, but I think we've done a pretty good job at it. Thank you very much.
Hello, my name is John Parravani. I'm originally from Baldwin Township. I lived there for 36 years. So we moved here to Whitehall. We're trying for many years to get into steeplechase. We finally had an opportunity to get in there. So with my experience as a former Baldwin Township Commissioner for 8 years, and I'm currently on the steeplechase HOA board, I know how to, or what it takes to be a voice for the residents. And the residents should be able to give their opinion on important matters that they feel need to be expressed, and two-way communication is needed. 100% transparency is needed to the board, to its community. The elected help support live streaming so all residents can be informed at all times. If you can't make the meeting, be able to log in and watch the meeting live. As I post on my Facebook page, my most important thing that I am passionate about is public safety. It should always come first in my book. The first, well, I guess the most thing for me that I am passionate about is the fire department during the day. There's not enough time in fire response. So I fully supported the duty shift program, which I was very happy to hear last night. The board finally approved to support this program. However, it is disappointing that it took a 5-month fight and the potential threat of a new candidate to give this matter the attention it deserved. I thank you for considering me and your vote for going with me. And it will be a privilege to represent the residents of Whitehall. Thank you.
As we move to the next question, you suggested something about live streaming. I'm going to ask you, when you get your answer, will you address how that will be paid for and what the cost would be, since you brought that up? And I'm going to ask that of every other candidate that brings up an idea. I want to hear what it costs and how they get paid for it. Sir?
Right. Hello, everyone. My name is Jeremy Rose. I am a transplant to Whitehall. I've been here since 2012. Originally from Altoona, Pennsylvania. After high school, I joined the United States Marine Corps and served 5 years of active duty. During that time frame, served 2 combat deployments in Iraq. Also served in some peacekeeping missions and a lot of training. From the Marine Corps, I moved to Pittsburgh, followed my now wife, who was my fiance at the time, attended the University of Pittsburgh, in which I earned a bachelor's degree in health information management. I then went on to work for UPMC for a period of time, and eventually with the Department of Veterans Affairs. With the Department of Veterans Affairs, I conducted compensation and pension adjudications, authorizing funding to veterans in need of veteran services. I then transitioned into a field examiner position, in which I conducted criminal and both criminal and financial investigations in individuals that we propose to be fiduciaries for veterans, their spouses, and their dependents. Along with doing those investigations, I was also responsible for conducting fraud investigations anytime that there was a possibility of fraud, waste, and abuse of federal funds. A few years ago, I transitioned from the VA and became a stay-at-home father to raise 3 children who are now 14, 11, and 9. I spend the majority of my time at youth fields, coaching basketball, soccer, baseball, cross country, track, and I'm also a member of the athletic board for Mother Mercy Academy, which was previously the St. Gabriel School. Thank you.
Hi everybody, my name is Lacey Thomas and I'm excited to run for Whitehall Council, and I'm excited for the opportunity to get a chance to speak with all of you tonight. I'm originally from the South Hills, but my husband and I 13 years ago chose to live in Whitehall, and we chose to raise our family here and our 2 kids. We chose to live in Whitehall and we loved it so much that instead of moving when we needed a bigger house, we moved across the street. That's how much we love Whitehall, and that's how much I want to be involved in the community. We're at the soccer field, so Jeremy, I'm probably seeing you there. We are at gymnastics meets, we're at scout meetings where I see Beth Lynn. We are moving around the neighborhood with the job, going to the park, and trying to be out there and enjoying all the wonderful things that Whitehall has to offer. My goal for running for council is truly just to be a voice, not only for families, with especially young children, but for every single person in our community, so that they all feel that they've had their voice heard, and that the decisions that we make as a borough have a chance to reflect everyone's needs. So, thank you very much for your time, and welcome this evening.
So thank you for all the candidates for giving your background and some idea of why you're running. It's much appreciated. It gives you a feel for the people who are up here. The next question I have is, knowing what you do at this point, what do you see as Whitehall's biggest challenge, and how would you address the solution to that? And if there's a cost factor to it, how would you pay for it?
Hi, yes. Before I answer how I would address that, I'll answer how it would be to make the change that I suggested. It would cost exactly nothing for our fellow council people to actually show up a little bit earlier before the meetings, or show up here in the library like a representative from Senator Brewster did earlier today. It doesn't take any more than any individual's time to just be able to sit down and talk to your neighbors and listen, and that's what I really like. Yes.
State of the question, if you will. What is the biggest challenge of Whitehall, and what is the solution, and how would you pay for it?
What is the biggest challenge to Whitehall? I would end these single, no-bid contracts that are being delivered and handed to a Gateway Engineering and their buddies, who are just lining the deck. You said at the beginning of the pool project that there would be $5 million for this pool, and all of a sudden it turned into $6 million even before you started the bid process. It would cost us nothing. It would actually save us if we could open up the bids to even our small business owners here in Whitehall.
Thank you, and I'm going to ask the panelists to stay to the, when I watch these debates, I get ticked off because no one answers the question. I want them to answer the question, number one. And number two is, if you want to, there's no disparaging of individuals. If you want to talk and disparage the council in general, that's fine. But on the House of Representatives, we're not allowed to mention people's names, we're not allowed to address them. So I would ask that we stay away from that. And I know you haven't done that, but I'm just kind of setting the rules. Sir, you're next. Whenever you're ready.
I'm ready. I'm ready and ready to go. What is the question, sir?
Knowing what you do at this time, and you see what do you see as Whitehall's biggest challenge? What is the solution, and how would you pay for it?
That's a loaded question because there is no challenge. You want to make a challenge, you can. There's no challenge at all in Whitehall. We've already paid for it. You have many new buildings you have since we were in. You have many new other items, growth in both the people that work here have jobs. You have growth in the swimming pool, which is the last large thing, and it's $6 million. It is a wonderful thing to do, and you have not paid additional taxes. There's nothing else we can do other than keep moving, doing and creating the things for each and every one of you. That's been our purpose the whole time. So that is how I would answer your question.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Moderator, why was Mr. Crane not given a chance?
At the initial time, we served Mr. Crane and you, and we keep them going down to answer the questions. So everybody gets to answer the question first.
Thank you.
So the way I see is the biggest challenge facing Whitehall, we do have a lot of amenities, but I think the biggest issue we have is the communication between our government and our citizens. There are a lot of people in here today, much more than I thought would be here, because there's a frustration with how council is communicating its ideas and its goals and its plans with the rest of the community. They might be able to say it in certain areas, but they're not getting it out to enough people. The council meeting last night, if anybody was there, was an example of that. There was a lot of frustration because of a lack of communication. At that point, there was more communication about issues, but when it got there, it was too late. You had already upset enough people because you weren't being upfront to begin with. So I think that engaging the community more, finding better ways to bring groups together to plan for parks or to talk about the pool and have more input so that they can talk and have their ideas and communicate with their friends and keep that community engagement going is the way to solve that challenge. Thank you.
I think the biggest problem that we have is raising funds to do the infrastructure improvements that we need to do. Over the years, the DCD and a number of other organizations and government bodies that we must adhere to have required us to fix all our sewers and our flooding for sanitary and stormwater. And we've been working on that for a number of years. And literally, there are millions of dollars in the ground with all these sewer pipes. Infrastructure like that, like our parks, we have some 5-year park program that we're working on right now, and we're funding it as we go along and trying to meet the needs of these neighborhood parks. They're not sports complexes, but they are neighborhood parks, so we have to take a look at what neighborhood they're in, what type of activities that they want. And but to pay for all that, we've been trying to deal with a little bit of debt, which we do have now. That's how the pool got paid for, or is being paid for. And that also included some debt that was left over from putting the fire department. And we borrowed that $7.5 million at 2.2%. So it's a very low rate of fix that we adjusted in 5 years. But my point is to keep up with the infrastructure and the community and the different things that we've come to enjoy, it does take money and it takes good, prudent financial planning. And that's what we try to do. Prioritize the projects based upon some dollars, based upon the residents' needs, and that's basically a short synopsis of the processes. But we need to continue to do that to build Whitehall, keep Whitehall what it is today. Thank you.
I don't like to use the word problems. I don't think we have any problems. I think we have challenges. The same challenges that all of you have with your personal finances, especially during these inflationary times. it's, it's something we have to deal with on a continuing basis to make sure that we have public safety. We have the road crew, I think, is second to none, and all the other departments, the library, whatnot. It's always a balance. When you are in a government body, you're kind of like taffy. Somebody's always pulling at you. This year we had requests for lacrosse. A couple years ago we had more requests for soccer. Things like that go on. I hear a lot about transparency. We usually get 3 or 4 people at our council meeting. But we must be doing something right. Anybody's welcome to come. We encourage people to come. We have no need to hide. We meet, we talk, we engage residents. We talk to them after the meeting. We'll talk to them before the meeting. We have nothing to hide. We're all proud of what we do. So we already have contacted a long time ago our communications company, which is Comcast, to put in place live streaming, internet. It's not an easy process. They're backed up like everybody else. They gave us an 18-month window, and they reduced that down to 12. We're going to do that. We have to pay for it. They don't come for free, but it's a priority. There's no lack of transparency in Whitehall Borough. And I think we've done a great job in keeping in touch with the residents. So, just keep that in mind. Thank you.
Glenn, you still have 30 seconds. Hold on a minute. How would you pay for it, and who would be in charge of the camera, and who would broadcast it? How would it?
We haven't gotten that far, Dave. As far as paying for it, we pay for it out of tax dollars like we do everything else. As far as, and that's a challenge, is, who works the camera? Do you have multiple cameras so that you don't have to have somebody there swallowing on something? I've been to council meetings in other municipalities, and that's always a challenge. But yeah, we'd be paid for by tax dollars.
The reason I asked that question, in Pennsylvania General Assembly, for many years, we had no cameras on the floor. It was a big debate. And finally, we had cameras, but they were controlled by the House employees, so you never saw somebody reading the paper sleeping. So there's an issue there. I don't see anybody sleeping or reading the paper at Whitehall here, but that's just a little bit of trivia for you. So when you watch the House of Representatives on PCN, you see the guy in the back. I'm calling and say, hey, you're on TV, you better put the paper down. All right, next person here. John.
Yes. Repeat the question one more time, please.
I forgot.
The biggest challenge, yes. I believe that, I've been hearing this a lot, and when I go to the meetings, I feel the same way. Transparency, I feel like when I go to meetings, the borough budget meetings, I feel like some of the current council members will have touch with the residents in their opinions on certain things. The transparency is needed. That's why we fully support streaming the meetings for people that can't come. And there's actually a resident that lives in Whitehall, that has a successful electrical business, that has volunteered to update the whole system of the building so we could live stream. So that would take any cost to taxpayers, and it could get done way before the 12 months would be, if Comcast would do it. So it would be, like I said, no cost to the residents, and once we get it going, that would be the same thing, would come up to the tax dollars, and now putting it into the budget and taking a better look at the budget when the time comes. But it would be minimal cost.
Thanks for answering the question. I appreciate it. Thank you. Give me the guy's number, because I have some work done in my house.
In my opinion, and I'm very similar to some of the other candidates, I believe transparency and communication is some of our biggest challenges here. We're dealing with a large spectrum of ages, multiple generations within the community. A large portion of our generation is 55 and older. So you have kind of a big mix of half the community is using technology for communicating, reading about what's going on in the borough, maybe commenting, complaining about issues within the borough, and a portion of the community that still relies mainly on the newspaper. neither one is a good or bad form of communication. But I feel that the borough could communicate their ideas and their projects better. Big topic is the swimming pool. When the project started years ago, there was a survey sent out to residents to respond regarding what they would like to see as the new swimming pool. I've yet to meet a single person within Whitehall that has actually received that. Okay, good. There's a couple of you here. I'm happy that a few people did receive that survey, because I know myself and a large amount of my neighbors that I'm friends with did not receive that survey. So my biggest thing is communicating with the citizens, making it a two-way street, and being transparent with decisions that are being made throughout the borough. Thank you.
Well, I hate to sound repetitive, but communication is definitely a thing that we need to take a look at. But more specifically, we need to be proactive instead of reactive. We've seen a lot recently, especially on Facebook, right? We've all seen the postings that we're all very upset about things, but the borough is coming out with information that have the borough posted information, provided information up front. We really could have saved everybody a lot of heartache, a lot of headaches, and a lot of angry typing, right? I saw a few heads nodding that that's not a bad idea. We need to have a clear form of communication that gets out to the borough, not just with our annual letters and our annual magazines, but that happens timely so that residents are coming to activities. Because with communication, it improves our neighborhood involvement. It brings people to the parks, to the library, to all of the recreation board activities. There's a fantastic program, but a lot of people don't know about it, and they're not able to know about it because the communication is unfortunately behind. Or for some of our older residents, the communication is only online, and that's not their comfortable form of finding out what's going on in our community. So my answer is communication as well as community involvement. Thank you.
Well, I guess I will sound like Bert. I would say communication is one of the biggest things, as everybody has relayed as they went through their question. I feel, yeah, the communication needs work online. Also, like major decision making, I think everybody should have a clear voice in it and opinion. A solution to it is you can even put a QR code into the printout that goes out. People could scan it, and it would bring up a Google form, and they could put their information in it, and then the borough could store that, and then they could send out a blast email or a blast text message. And for the older residents, you know, there could be also a tear off in there that a way for the borough to reach out. We really don't know how many residents don't have a chance to connect online. We don't have those polls of who actually has internet, who has cell phones, how are they viewing and communicating with the borough. We don't have any of those statistics. So I think the first thing would be is to figure that out. And maybe you could put a QR code or a tear out. Then after that, figure out a better solution to communicating with all of the residents and just communicating it clearly. Thank you.
I was skipped one, didn't I? Oh, she's sorry. Okay. Next question.
Too bad, yeah.
Next question. So, as we talk about communication, we have, at law firm, we have to take diversity classes, and they showed the difference of an old person like me. I pick up the phone and call people. The kids, they text, they do the Twitter, they do all that stuff. That's way over my head. So my question to you is, how do you intend to communicate with the constituents? Do you run at large or is by district? At large. How do you intend to communicate? Will you give them your cell phone number? Do you have people come to your house? At church, sometimes I had the line longer at the end than the priest had. And so, you know, at the funeral homes, it doesn't matter where you're at the ball game with the kids. How do you, and this is a 1 minute question, by the way, 1 minute answer, 1 minute, Cindy. So how would you intend to communicate with them on a personal basis?
Well, I'm known for going out to see many people in Whitehall Borough. When I would get calls, I would go. I'm not speaking for anybody else. I've been out of many houses, talking to people, figuring out how they can get the help they need to get, because maybe the code misunderstands it, or they don't know. If you go out throughout the borough, you see that I'm amongst it all day long communicating. Yes, you can use your cell phone. I use it basically for everything. I don't use a computer for a lot. But we do have a brand new program set up in the last year. If you take time to go through it, it's been improving and improving more. So we are in that juncture. I don't know what you're seeing that I'm not seeing, but it might be something. Or you're used to greater communications. But you have to, as a councilman or a councilwoman, get yourself up, make phone calls to people when they call you. And I've returned multiple calls over my years. Thank you.
So in terms of how to communicate with people, I think we can start easily by every council member has a phone number, whether it's through the council or something listed, obviously not a personal number, or an email to get in touch. I think that's a very simple solution. Going on the website last time I was there, not everybody has a website or an email address or phone number. As a prime example, the South Hills Record, they wanted to, they do their typical interviewing, send in your questions every year, or for every election cycle. And when I was communicating, the person had to ask me, do you know how to get in touch with Mr. Navy or Mr. Law? I said, I have no idea how to get in touch with them. Send an email to the info@whitehallborough.com. That shouldn't be the way. Someone should feel the ability to directly communicate with who they feel should represent them. Thank you.
Let's see, communication. My phone number is out there, my email is out there, my office is right down the street. I conduct business at my office too, if people want to talk. I just want to enlighten some of the folks that we started a communication campaign last year after the chief redid our dispatch center. We spent over $200,000 working on that set of communication. And that's where we realized that we didn't have a proper feed into this building. We had a DSL line, not fiber. That's what Comcast is going to do, put fiber in. Once we have fiber in, then we can proceed with the meetings and the picture taker broadcasting and so forth. The other side of the communications, if we've started the program, we did the website, and we're working on doing a lot of things on Facebook and so forth. We're getting the information out there now. Government tends to work a little bit slow, but we are making progress by working on those communications.
Thank you.
I'm in a little bit of a different situation with myself. I'm a self-employed franchisee, independent insurance adjuster, outright under the auspices of a national company. I use my phone for my business and make my living. But I still have one of those old things they call a landline with Verizon's old copper wires. My number is 412-884-3847. Anybody can call at any time. Probably won't answer it right then because you don't hear it. But if there's a message on there and you have something, I'll get back to you. And again, we have nothing to hide. We're willing to communicate with people. We talk to our friends. I see most of you I know. You've been to a council meeting once or twice. Anybody who's able to approach us and ask anything they want. So we're out there. Thank you.
I did this program when I was a commissioner of Whitehall Township. It was very simple. Is all the back we had commissioners, had business cards. And on our business card was our name, phone number, email address, phone number of the borough building, phone number of the police, and just pass those out every time we're out in the public. If someone needed something, it was very easy to get in touch with people and for them to get in touch with us. And when I see this magazine, or Whitehall magazine here comes out, and it's very colorful. I see everybody's picture in there on every page of the council, but there's no email addresses or any personal email address on there. So I would just have everybody have an email address and phone number and pass those cards out, and it'd be very easy to communicate that way. Thank you.
Trying to do that, though, everybody would have to cooperate and offer that information. You can only do that on an individual basis. You can't make people do that. So now we know what people will do, not people. That's an individual decision. But thank you.
Well, we all voted for it.
Oh, did you?
When we were on as a board, we all voted, we agreed to do that. That's how I initiated that startup. I brought it to the board and everybody agreed to do it. We all had email addresses. You can make up, that's your personal, you can make up a second email address.
Okay, interesting. I stand corrected.
Yeah, well, we.
The moderators, Whitehall has all us have our own cards, and forever. So we pass them out, and we give them another 1,000, and another 1,000. Those people want one, we give it to them, we give it to them, and I give it to them anywhere I go.
Okay,
And the cards, make sure they can contact me or the borough.
thank you. I'm sorry, Jeremy, you're up.
That's okay. I don't have a business card, but I would be willing to carry them and pass them out if need be. Not a big deal at all. As you look at me, I'm a fairly big guy, kind of scary looking to some people, but I'm fairly approachable, fairly nice human being. I'm willing to give my phone number out to anybody who wants to talk about any issues, even if you just want to talk and pass some time. Provide you with my email address. If you want to write a letter, I'll write a letter back to you. Hand sign it, whatever you may like. If you see anything at a field or at church at St. Gabe's, you can feel free to stop me and ask me whatever you would like. If you have questions and concerns, feel free, you can bring them to me, and I will do my best to provide you with an answer or to find a solution to your issue. Thank you.
Email, phone, fax if you want it. Mail it here to the borough building. All of these things are options, and hopefully those meet everybody's needs. I love the idea, of course, of having Lacey Thomas at whitehall.org. I love that. I would put it on a business card, 100%. I would carry that business card. And if I saw you at the grocery store, I'd be happy to hand it to you. If I saw you at a field, I'd be happy to talk with you. And if you really wanted to corner me while I was walking my dog, totally fine. He might lick you and say hello, but I'm happy to speak with you and any constituent, anywhere, anytime. That's not a problem. That's what we're here for. That's what we're trying to be here for some of us, right? That's why we're here. So, wherever you want to meet. Library. I love the library. We can meet there too. Thank you.
So, as I said in my opening, I'd like to be a voice for the citizens. So, I'm open to my phone number, email, social media, however somebody needs to connect with me. So, I'm open. So, thank you.
Yes, I have launched 2 websites, SaveWhitehall.com and Whitehall.iger.us is on my business card. And I've gone around and introduced myself to people, but with one regret. I do not speak Bhutanese or Nepalese. I feel that Baldwin-Whitehall School District has taken great leadership to translate the very important government documents to the parents of this school district. I believe that the very most important government documents should be translated with approaching 20% of Whitehall's population. They're taxpayers too. Thank you very much. SaveWhitehall.com.
Unusual question, how will we pay for it, what would it cost, would it be located in a library, or where would that be located in translation?
Well, we would have to hire a translator. Je parle français un peu, mais je ne parle pas Nepalese. Yes, I speak French, and I would hope that there might be someone in this community who is fluent in the appropriate languages to perhaps help out. And perhaps we should have such a committee to help with the translation to our neighbors.
Okay, thank you. Who's next? I'm kind of switching up on timeline here to keep it moving, so bear with me. This one's a 1.5-minute question. This is from the floor. What is your plan to grow the business tax base or increase development along the Route 51 corridor?
It's a very specific question. To increase the business tax base, we need to put more businesses over there. We go up and down the Route 51 corridor and you'll see a bunch of empty businesses. How do we get more businesses into the area? The buildings over there, quite frankly, are awful. I don't know what we can do about that. The parking over there is terrible. I don't know what we can do about that. That's a privately owned property. But I think the idea that most municipalities might have to bring in businesses to, if it helps to get a small business in to give a tax break, then maybe that's what we look into doing. I don't know the feasibility of that, but if that's something you can do to at least get someone's foot in the door so that they can establish themselves and grow their business over there, I think that's the first place to start.
Well, as you all know, Whitehall is a bedroom community, and we are building out. The 51 corridor, that's been worked on and tried with the Economic Development Corporation. Those properties are mostly owned by Linda Dunlap, who is Linda Lewinsky, and they are working on their properties, and it's their right to do what they want with them, and as long as they're in compliance, then we will work with them, and we have worked with them in the past. They sold a piece of property on the corner there, that's actually present where the hospital is, and Linda was up here the other day talking about getting some permits for some other things that they were working on down there in the 51 corridor that we have. So there really isn't much room for development of business properties in here unless you're home businesses, and they're not taxed the same way like the properties the businesses in that. So we just have to work with our existing tax base and try to make sure that the infrastructure and the different things that we provide as a borough, services, that they're kept up to be top notch, so we can't let little businesses have a small stuff to go to.
How many of you love Cassie Village? Nobody loves Cassie Village. You know how fortunate we are to have a viable, working strip mall type business situation there. Rarely an empty storefront. Other communities would trade that in a second. Route 51, it's an issue. When I was on the Economic Development South board from its inception, somebody from the county, one of the development people, said, when we land on Mars, there'll be a yellow sign that says, "See Lewinsky Brothers." They control pretty much most of 51, but a lot of people don't realize where you think is Whitehall, some of it's Brentwood. We think Brentwood, some of it's Whitehall. Very few people have an idea where the delineation is. But yeah, we've always been friendly to business. We've had very few complaints of business prospects coming to the borough and criticizing us for anything. We're open to work with them any way we can. Yeah, 51's a challenge. It's not just here in Whitehall, but all you do is drive up and down. So yeah, we try to work with it, but there's some constraints sometimes. Thanks.
Yes, that 51, it is becoming what has been for a while an eyesore. And like some of us said, that it's privately owned. So we sort of had the same situation in Borough Township. The landlord owned a lot of property, and the only thing we would try to do is, and I don't know if the current council have tried this maybe, is more pressure on the buildings, on codes, and forcing for them to upgrade the building so it's more presentable to rent. And I'm sure some of those buildings, if you look at them, you drive by, they have to be under code. And if you would pressure them to upgrade the property, that might be more appealing to someone to rent it, and maybe come to the borough and work some kind of deal, like some kind of tax break or something for like the first couple of years or something, just to make it more attractive to open up a business. But there again, the problem with that property is it's privately owned. Thank you.
Really don't have a lot to add on that question. I mean, like everybody stated previously, those properties are privately owned. As long as the buildings are within code and our taxes are paid, there's not a whole lot we can do to force somebody to make changes. Can't force them to sell, and like I said, as long as they're compliant with everything we have here on the books within the borough, kind of have to let them go. So don't really have a true solution for you.
Well, it's certainly a tough spot to look through, and you have guests come, and it doesn't look the nicest all the time. But 51 does provide an excellent opportunity for growth, because honestly, there is so much traffic on 51. Tax breaks, I don't disagree. I don't know how it would all work, but it would be worth something to look into as an incentivization. But also, we have to think about the amount of flow that comes through that area and how attractive that would be to some of your larger businesses, such as, don't hurt me for this, a Starbucks, right? Something like that, like a Starbucks, how much traffic are they looking for? Is that a feasible option to go to some larger corporations and have a coffee place, a drive-through, something like that, that could maybe outpay what Levitsky wants for their land and make it change hands? Maybe that's an option. Just an idea. Thank you.
So this is a really hard question. So as I've lived in Whitehall my entire life, 51 is very, very, there's areas that need improvement. Over the years, I remember a rumor of doing a boulevard idea where the turn lanes were, they were considering putting in the boulevard islands with plantings, trying to clean it up. I don't know if that's actually possible because of the zoning restrictions, but maybe that's an idea of improving the area and seeking grants for it. But I know you can't really force private owners to fix up their buildings, but maybe fix everything up around them and improve the area that way. So it encourages Starbucks, it encourages other businesses to want to come in because the area is improved, like streetscape, things like that.
I'm actually going to start out by congratulating my incumbent opponents in fact, making Route 51 very apparent whenever you come into Whitehall in the wintertime, because you know that the streets were plowed. The junction where it turns into Provost Road, Fairhaven, and 51 is exactly where it starts. And it starts with that automotive store that's still there. The Dairy Queen is also Route 51 that's been there forever. And also we have the old Goodwill. We used to have like a sinkhole there. That's why it hasn't been developed. Whose responsibility is it? Is it the Levinsky family? Or is it the fact that it's a state road? Or is it Whitehall's? Those are the questions that it would have to be answered before real economic development could possibly be there. But hey, I was a kid here in the 90s, so I remember that there used to be a pool hall on Route 51 that you could go in there if you were over 18 and not have a drink. It was awesome.
Well, those are all nice ideas. Let's get down to the reality. They're coming up with good ideas, and they could probably work if they knew how. There is a program to make it a boulevard. It died because they can't do it. We do have rules and regulations that do prevent you from not putting a sidewalk in. You have to put a sidewalk in. You have to put shrubbery. You have to put gravel or rocks. But it's up to the person that owns the business, not us, not the county, no one else. You want to throw that on everybody that has a business? Do you ever run a business and everybody throws trouble on top of you? You're in trouble. However, as Bob said, it's owned, or maybe it was Glenn, owned by the Levinsky family. They have major control on the driveways, and they're not about to give it up because it makes money for them. It made money for him, became wealthy over it. In my opinion, he was a slumlord. But we can't control someone's private property. Neither can you or these new people. You have to learn about what it was all about in the first place. And I will tell you, with a big gas station in the middle school, it happens to be right now, actually Best Oil, will be a new car wash. Yeah, another one. I asked the same question. But that's what they want to do there, and we can't stop them.
Yeah.
Anybody, there are laws that we go by. Thank you.
All right, this is another question from the floor. I have no idea of rhyme or reason of who's going to answer what questions, so I'm just kind of picking them out as I go, so bear with me. How will your service as Whitehall Council support clean, green, sustainable choices for our future? This is a minute and a half. I'll repeat the question. How will your service on the Whitehall Council support clean, green, sustainable choices for our future?
Well, we're actually investigating a solar complex that's going on top of the new salt down there, so we've been working on that. We work with the Shade Tree Commission on planting trees, and while we were away in a seminar at Seven Springs with the Allegheny League of Municipalities, there was a great discussion talking about electric vehicles, and actually our neighbors in West Mifflin have gotten, and they were able to get some grant money and get the stations, the charging stations installed in there too. So they're kind of the experiment out there right now about fleet vehicles and the boroughs utilizing some police cars, electric cars for electrification. So we've been working on those things. We're conscious of that, and that's where we stand right now.
One question before you start. Sure. If there's any questions from the floor, someone can pass out these cards and send them up to me. I'll read them. But they're more of a general question instead of specific questions, if you could. So if anybody has questions, please bring them up. I'm running out of questions. Please.
Yeah, Bob pretty much answered the question. There's a county organization called Connect. Connect is really pushing, assisting municipalities in developing solar power. Our borough manager, Courtney Works, has attended seminars and had discussions with other municipalities that are considering doing it. It's not something you do overnight. There is an expense and there is a payback period. And we're going to investigate what that payback period is as opposed to the expense. It's not free to put those on. So it has to be a workable mathematical problem. So we're doing we're definitely looking into the solar, and as Bob said, we have our great little itty bitty lady back there with the mask on. She's our tree lady. She's our tree lady. That's Donna. And Donna keeps us in line. If you were the council meeting last night, you saw how she did it. And we're also involved with an individual who works to support the streams and keeping streams from Allegheny County. So we have several things in the office. Thanks.
Yeah, pretty much the same. Electric vehicles seem to be the way to go, and as long as there is, well, there's a lot of grants out there for certain things like that. I would be using tax dollars up to a certain point, but as long as there are grants out there, I would support more of some of the electric vehicles. The parks, some of the parks that are getting upgraded for that purpose, we're putting more trees in. The Borough Council are putting more trees in certain parks that would go towards that clean energy. And yeah, I just think that I think we're ways off, probably for like police vehicles going electric, but that would be another option down the road because they use a lot of gas and cost effective that way. But that would be probably down the road. But like I said, as long as there's grants out there, I would fully support more green energy. Thank you.
So it's good to hear the council has been working on this issue. First time I've heard about it, but I'm all for entertaining grants or programs from the state and federal levels to improve our green footprint, whether it be solar panels within borough facilities or planting additional trees, community cleanup days to at least clean up the litter that is kind of in a lot of the parks along the sides of the road.
So I love that Courtney Works has already been working on getting some grants for all of the solar panel projects that they're looking to do. I think that's a great place to start. I love our shade tree program because one of the most beautiful parts about our entire community is our beautiful trees. And I'm going to say that part of my neighborhood is part of that. In Baldwin Manor, we have the most beautiful tree-lined streets. And every time a tree comes down, it just breaks my heart a little bit. And I love to see all of those beautiful trees. Anything we can do, any little step we can do, to help our environment, because I have a little kid that's here, and he's hanging out, because mom's right here, and that's awesome, because he's getting to see this process. He's right there. But the point is that there are lots of little things we can do. We can continue a great recycling program, any additional cleanups that we can offer to the community, not only for cleaning up our parks, cleaning up our roadways, but also all of the safe recycling programs that the borough has already started. So we just need to continue these great programs and keep working and pushing for more. Thank you.
Well, my background is plants. I would say, yeah, I plant plenty of trees, beautifying Whitehall. And, yeah, and I think, you know, there's programs, there's grants and things out there that can slowly, you know, change these fixtures to LEDs and solar panels. But, yeah, mainly I would be pushing the trees and the plants, beautifying. So, thank you.
I lived in Whitehall as a child and took an 8-year tour to Chicago, where they take their parks seriously. Do you know that when you live in Chicago, you can go to any parks or pool for gratis? You can pull up there and you can clean out your car with recycling bins of every sort and your other trash. The Parks Borough can go and take it away. Instead, we have to wait around for an annual feel-good sort of event that I really hope that people do attend at Prospect Park this Saturday, where there's going to be a trash cleanup effort. But an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, so let's actually do recycling at the parks. It makes sense. It makes sense to get people into the parks and enjoying the fresh air and nature.
I can assure you, we're trying to find every way to do everything that we can to clean the air and to keep it strong. We built a salt shed down there at about $1 million to retain it, protect it from it leaking. You can't go out into the sewer system or down to the creek. That was the controls. That's why it was the same kind of dollars as I just mentioned. When you talk about those little things on roofs, you have to put them in. We can't tell you to put them in. We don't stop you from putting them in. We are going to do our due diligence. Once we get established how we want to do it, then we will do it. When I moved into my new home in Whitehall in 2005, it was up at Steeplechase. I lived on the other side of the hill. I put 8 trees in my yard. So now I tell you I like trees. Yes, there was none. If I could add 3 or 4 or 5 more, I would, but I can't dig a hole anymore. So yes, they're beautiful. Flowers are beautiful. The whole world that's created for us is spectacular. Enjoy it. Enjoy every shrubbery and every tree you can, because other people want to take them down and trim them and not keep them beautiful so we can enjoy all that great fresh air.
Like others have mentioned, looking for grants I think is a great place to go to, in whichever way we can to help the community. There's a lot of federal funding coming out. We've heard the infrastructure bills that have been passed. There's a ton of money coming out to help with the green initiatives that are out there. So I think prioritizing looking for those is a great start. I think an excellent place that we could also do it as a council now is maybe some sort of charge for the council to prioritize green initiatives on its own with whatever contracts that they have. So that means something like we have so we have contracts with whatever bidders who are out there. We state, whatever bid you give us, you have to hit these marks for green initiatives in our borough, and start building from the bottom up with how we're spending our money to make sure that we are coming up to the green initiatives that we have. Thank you.
I think everybody can hear me, you certainly can see me. Yeah, I know, I just want to let the microphone go ahead.
All right, here's a question from the floor. Where's Jess? I've been wondering that myself. Jess Seibert. So I'm going to call on Sue back.
He commented on the Facebook page. For any of you who don't know, I run the Citizens of Whitehall Borough Facebook page. And we put this out there that this was going on, and he commented that he's at a band concert for one of his kids, and I replied back to him and said, kids come first. So that's where he is tonight. He apologizes for not being here.
Okay. This is a 1-minute question. We're going to move through here. Why is there not a single crosswalk on Bronzeville Road from Curry to something Supply? Get it? Because it's a major busway. I'm from
Crosswalks are determined by the warrants of the state. We had crosswalks down at the Princess Lane, so I'm familiar with on the way on the road. Those crosswalks were illegal. They were put up by Cassie. It was more of a service to rollers down there. They were illegal. Somebody would have hit somebody down there, would have been a real mess. I think somebody did it. The crosswalk is going to be installed now, meets all the legal warrants. Those are things we have to go through. Those are state roads. We're very limited in what we can do with the state. And anybody said, if you with the state, knows that. So as far as the crosswalk, very limited what we can do. There's a need for it.
All right, well, that was just a general one. It didn't apply, it sounds like. So let's try one more here. How do we address blight in Whitehall, boarded homes, overgrown yards, etc.?
You want me to know?
Yeah.
Well, that's a charm of mine. Again, 5 years serving on the Economic Development South Board, and that was one of our main focuses was to try to eliminate blight. We don't have a lot of blight. Everybody has some. We all have some. You know, there's always a crazy person that has 100 cats in their house somewhere, and everybody here probably knows what I'm talking about. You know, we do our best to try to control that and mitigate it. When blight comes up, a lot of times there's insurance problems. The house catches on fire. We had one down here just a block or so away. You have to deal with the insurance companies. You're limited sometimes on what you can do, but you know, we do have a full-time code enforcement officer. He's very adamant about keeping up with code enforcement, and I think he does a pretty good job by and large. And our zoning helps us to do that. We have strict zoning in Whitehall, much to the dismay of some people, especially a lot of contractors, but we try to do what is legally right. There's nothing harder. I always tell the zoning people. I met one from another borough. There's nothing worse than trying to tell somebody no about their own property. Thank you.
Okay. You were saying about the overgrown yards. Yeah, that is an issue in some areas, and I sort of maybe disagree a little bit with Glenn here. I don't think the code force guy is out enough. I think it needs to be stricter. More strict rules. I go by here often. I just see that code enforcement truck sitting there in the same spot. So I don't know how often he's out. Do we need more code enforcement guys? I don't know. Or is he even out enough? I don't know if residents report somebody else's yard. Then that should be an option. If you call and anonymous and turn someone in, and the code guy should come out there. But I agree, there's way too many overgrown yards and people not following codes. Lucky for me, I'm in steeplechase, so we don't have that problem because I'm on the HOA board. So, but there is that problem. Thank you.
I'm not going to use the microphone. I'm plenty loud. As far as blight or overgrown properties or boarded up houses, I would say it comes down to code enforcement for the main, is the main issue. Like John said, I see the code enforcement vehicle sitting here quite often. It's very rare that I see it driving throughout the community, but maybe I just have bad luck and don't cross paths with them. But I think just enforcing the current code is already on the books. I don't feel that we need to add restrictive codes regarding your property. I mean, every citizen has the right to have their own property, and as long as they are staying within the confines of the code, feel free to do what you want with your property and your time.
There we go. So for blighted homes, I think consistent code enforcement is really important. We don't want to see people being badgered, but consistent enforcement, and that means all across the borough, no matter what, no matter where you live. If somebody's being flagged here, it should be flagged someplace else as well. It should be consistent, and it should be regular. Now, to the comment about overgrown grass, I think one of the things that we always need to take in mind is that we have a lot of residents that are getting up there where cutting their own grass is getting more difficult. And I would love to see some type of a community relation program where we could have volunteers, especially volunteers from the high school. The kids are always looking for volunteer hours before they can graduate. Getting those kids connected through the borough in order to help our citizens that need it. Thank you.
So, as far as like overgrown lawns, I've had plenty of them. But I would say it's also communication. It goes back to why is this happening? And maybe they can't cut it. Maybe they're elderly and they can't cut it. So maybe there is programs that we could start up volunteers. But I think reaching out and seeing what's really going on is maybe the best start to create a solution. So.
Please won't you be my neighbor? The words of Fred Rogers. As a kid growing up in the 80s and 90s, definitely what I would like to have the conversation between neighbors before things start to escalate like that. Perhaps it's a matter of somebody with physical problems or mental illness or even just plain immaturity. I was 23 whenever I first bought my first home here in Whitehall. I didn't know that you weren't supposed to let the bird feeder overflow. A neighbor literally ratted me out. I got a pamphlet from the borough. I adjusted my behavior. Nobody has to have a ticket or anything scary like that. Just help people out.
Well, since I'm so old, as some people say, I work with a man in this borough because I'm on the planning commission. I work with a man by the name of Neil Duncan. Those of you who live up in where I live know Duncan Drive. That's who it was named after. And we have the best codes there are. You may not like being told. The code enforcement will stop and see him someday. Ask him to show you what he does. He goes out, he sees, he checks. He's got to come back and write out the reports. People are contacted constantly about how bad they're doing or what they're doing. But this is springtime. Everybody can't get out fast, and you are all correct. It takes all kinds of people to try to keep things going. They may be what these old wonderful people are saying. But you can't help that. It gets ahead of them. And we don't need another one. We have another one. We have two. We have a director that does all the planning and zoning. So, yes, we know about it. Thank you.
I hope I don't make noises. I think, first off, with what Sean said is a wonderful idea. And instead of going at the person or being so upset, let's hopefully as the borough or somebody can reach out to see what's going on, what the issue is. There's usually some underlying issue that they may need assistance with. And if they are older and they need help, I think it's a wonderful idea what Lacey said, to connect maybe a program to help them with their lawn or something that we can assist, because as mentioned, there's only so much you can do with someone's private property. There's only so much that you can do to make them stop doing what they're doing. So if assistance is there, maybe that could be the first step to the solution. In addition to that, better code enforcement if that is what is needed. So, thank you.
Now let's see, Blaine. All right. The question is, here's a good example. There was a house up in the Metro Flat, called Webster Yard 51. Deutsche Bank owned that, and it was in receivership. That thing got stuck in the system, and the system takes forever. Here's an example. The neighbors were so worried about the grass being cut, and it grew. Well, the neighbors were being nice, and they cut it. Then when they cut it, that restarted the whole process again. Because when you went for code enforcement, it's not one person trying to cover the whole borough. It's a very lengthy and timely process, even if it has to go to court. I know I've been working on a parking issue, and that parking issue is over a year old. They finally got to the courts today. People have to do proper notices. They get 30 to 60, 90 days to comply, and then it goes on from there. So it's not a fast process. And then the portion of when the borough gets involved, then we start putting lean money on there for cutting the grass and other repairs and things that we do. Because it's a house on Beamer, it's the same way. We get involved, we get it cleaned up.
One of the things is once you start putting those liens in and municipality starts cutting out, as a lawyer, I'm just telling you, there's a liability issue for having municipal employees on other people's property. Who knows what happens, so it becomes difficult. I think one of the answers is there enforcement by your district justice to show that there's teeth behind the ordinances? And I don't know that, that's just a comment in general. So we're going to wrap up here very shortly. I have one more question, then we're going to go through 2 minutes of everybody. We'll start with Lacey, then we'll come back. I don't know who gets the next question. Is it you, John? Okay, so recently at ALOM, Allegheny County League of Municipalities this weekend had their conference in Seven Springs. And one of the subjects of discussion was a EMS ordinance. Presently, you spend approximately $250,000 for your EMS, and it's I believe an in-kind contribution because they house your, yes?
I still have board of directors as is Phil, and it's not an in-kind contribution. It's essentially the deficit of the operating balance is equally divided based upon trips and other factors to each of the.
Well, that's your payment towards.
Right.
Yeah, okay, so I misspoke on the terminology. But, so you spend $250,000 that you provide a service, I guess, with the garage and electricity and utilities. Instead of paying the outright cash, you do it in another manner. At the League of Municipalities, there was discussion in my municipality is Westview Ross EMS. I used to be a charter member. And we just went to a EMS ordinance where it is now a direct pay. So before we were volunteering to pay, we would pay on our own to be members, and the municipality pays something. Now, because of what's being discussed, we have to pay directly to the EMS because there's an EMS ordinance, which is similar to what you probably do here for your garbage. You pay directly to your garbage. You don't pay directly to your garbage?
No other taxes.
Oh my God, I'm moving to Whitehall. Yeah. So, no wonder everybody's here tonight. But anyway, the discussion is, it's similar to what I pay for my garbage. I pay that directly to BFI or whatever we pay it for. So, would you be in favor, this is a one minute, this is a quick question, of a EMS ordinance where it would be direct pay instead of it being the $250,000 you're providing services? Would you do that because that would open a hole in here that would create $250,000 in your budget for other things. My question clear, John, or I need to restate it?
I'm not too sure what you're exactly asking here.
Would you be in favor of the EMS ordinance will be a direct pay from the residents to the EMS for the membership?
No, I sort of agree with the way it is now. I don't know why we would have to change that. I mean, if it's coming out, we're paying taxes anyway, and that's what currently they're paying out of the way it's being paid. I don't see any cause to change it. So no, I'm in favor of keeping it the way it is. It would be part of your taxes. It's already part of your taxes anyway, so why make it separate?
Okay, the only reason I raise the issue is when it happens in Philadelphia, it's coming to Pittsburgh. When it happens in other parts of the municipalities in Allegheny County, it's coming your way eventually. It might be 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. It's just a quick yes or no.
Personally, I'm fine with how it is now. I know, I guess I don't know a whole lot on the issue. Maybe the gentleman that's in on the board might be able to provide more information on it. I know Pittsburgh, you pay a $52 tax every year, so if it's similar to that, then maybe it'd be something to look at. But currently, I feel that using the taxpayer dollars, how we do now, is perfectly fine.
I think I can't answer the question without more actual concrete information because I don't know how much that's going to be and I don't know how that's going to impact our residents. So if we're asking them to pay taxes and then pay more, I don't know what that's going to be for our fixed income residents. So I wouldn't be able to answer that question exactly right now. I would need more information. Thank you.
Well, I'm going to take a motion. I'm going to take a motion from the moderator to strike that question because that's bad. All right. Oh, you want to answer? You want to answer that? Goes up here. Okay. That's a donation and volunteer though, that's not mandated. It's not mandated. Yes, ma'am, you're up.
Yes, I am aware that the medical team South does solicit a contribution for their insurance. And what I did not know until I had an ambulance call on myself on December 5th, 2022, was the fact that they ask you to go ahead and register your whole family with their health insurance up front before an event occurs so that they know who to bill. And get ready for it. It is not in network. You get a discount whenever you subscribe to Medical Team South. I really do encourage that you do it. I really super encourage that you participate in the fire department's annual fund. And let's please not make that a mandatory thing because it would be a burden to some individuals.
So it's one of many meetings that we have to go to. Bob and I have been on board. How many years for you? 20, Bob? Maybe 15 for me? And we find many things. It's so important. Harold Burkobin, if anybody remembers Harold Burkobin, who was on council, said, I don't care what it costs as long as I got the ambulance in my house when I needed it. I used it multiple times with my wife before she passed. Multiple. Yes, some of the costs have changed. But if you have any idea what it costs to run an ambulance service, and Medical Rescue Team South is number 2 in Allegheny County. The city of Pittsburgh is 1. Bob, you can answer the numbering system better. The finance. Tell them the finance.
Here's what basically happens. There's different types of calls, ALS and BLS. ALS is advanced life support. Typically, MRSA, that costs, I'm using round numbers here, folks. It costs $1,000 for an ALS trip. between insurance and the fees that we pay and everything, we end up getting about $400 or $500 for that $1,000 trip. The costs have gone extraordinarily crazy. When I first started with MRSA a number of years ago, an ambulance was anywhere between $80,000 and $100,000, and they went up to about $125,000. Now they're $350,000 to $400,000 each. We have 7 of them. Then the pricing that you're talking about, sir, the direct fee base, yes, that is being studied right now because you have problems with the insurance companies like Highmark that will not pay us directly. They pay the insured. Then we have to go chase the insured for that money, which costs time and resources. It's a big circle problem. It's being addressed. The legislators are looking at it. And the fee base, it won't be direct, at least you're not in Whitehall yet. It's just how we calculate what Whitehall share is going to be. It's going to be more. But it will be coming because the cost of going up. A stretcher alone in one of the ambulances is over $60,000 just for the stretcher. Yes. Then you got all the training of all the people and everything that are involved. It's a very costly public safety, but it is necessary. And I can tell you, MRSA is the top trained people in the library. And I'll throw kudos out to Jesse, who's not here tonight, because Jesse used to work at MRSA when I was since I got on board. But he can explain it. It's a problem, but they are addressing it, working it. I just wanted to relate the cost to everything.
Dave, I'll do what I've seen you do. I take on the Senator on the House floor. I'll yield my time to Bob if he has any. Bob's our expert. He goes to meetings and he comes back and reports to us. So I don't know, I think he covered it all. We have been fighting with the state for years now. Kathy McCune and Cook, who run statewide committees, has implored the state to allow for direct billing. It's a problem that, people get the check. Oh, we got a check. It's white, we got a check. Let's go to Best Buy. They don't know that money is owed to somebody. So,
It's a difficult issue. I know that my wife, we were bicycling in the city, she broke her wrist. It was $800 to take her to AGH, and Westview Ross did not cover it, even though we're residents and we participate. We had to pay that money directly. I was in a car accident down on the Christmas time. Guy hit me from behind in the snow. $1,800 to go 4 blocks at AGH. So I mean, those costs, and thanks for defining that for me, Bob, because I wasn't really specific enough about it. But those costs keep going up. That's no mistake.
It's a problem. It's a fire.
Yeah, it happens. So, all right, we're gonna do some conclusions. We're gonna start with Lacey here and work backwards the way we talk, and then 2 minutes, yes.
Mr. Moderator, could I ask everybody for a one-word response, each of the candidates? How many meetings, borough council meetings, have you attended in the last 4 months?
Ma'am, I'm sorry, but you're out of order. We can
Yeah, you have to
ask
sit
questions
down.
later on.
This is the moderated event. Let the moderator
Yeah,
handle it.
I apologize.
Yeah, no questions from the audience. It was all through the paper. Thank you.
All right, Lacey, you're up. 2 minutes. Clock's running. Cindy, go.
All right. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming. I think it's amazing to see such turnout. I hope you all turn out on May 16th when it's time to vote. Please take a neighbor. Please take a friend. Please encourage everybody you know to go vote. You have, I think, great choices, no matter what side of the ticket you're voting on. I would love for you to make that choice for me, because I do love this borough. I want to be here. I want everything to stay wonderful and perfect, because I'm going to be here for a long time. I'm not leaving. My kid's not leaving. I love being here, and I will work hard for this borough. I want to be a leader that is known for working collaboratively and for working for what is best for every member of our community. So thank you again for being here tonight and listening to everything that we have to say. Have a good night.
Get as I kicked my water down, good thing the lid was on. And I think it was great, opportunity to be here tonight with all these fine ladies and gentlemen. Here's some questions, concerns from these citizens of the borough. I would like to, if elected to council eventually, like I said earlier, have a two-way communication between myself and the citizens of the borough, whether it be one-on-one, email, phone, letter, whatever it may be. Really don't have a whole lot much to add at this point. I guess the only comment I have from earlier regarding some of the discussions and questions is I know that there was a statement that the parks are not sports facilities. However, at the same time, the youth within the community do depend on these parks to participate in their sports. I don't see a whole lot of people, I spend a lot of time in the parks, I don't see a whole lot of people packing their picnic baskets and going to picnic on a daily basis. So if we can do anything to improve those facilities, to help within the community for all of our youth, soccer, baseball, lacrosse, whatever other sports they need to play, that would be something that I would like to have a hand in the future. Thank you.
I want to thank everybody for coming tonight. It's a pretty good turnout. It would be a privilege to make on the board and represent everyone, all the residents of all ages. And I think my 8 years of being commissioner of Borough Township would be an asset to Whitehall, the Whitehall board. So the only other thing I can say is I would like to iterate be more transparent and more available to answer anybody's questions at any time. Thank you.
I just want to thank everybody for coming. Marty, thank you for helping put this together. I really want to say I appreciate the decorum under which it was run. That was a very calm and I think informative meeting. Sometimes these things can evolve into other things. Dave, you know that. I want to continue at least one more time to run for council. It's been an honor to serve the residents of Whitehall for all these many years. So we'll just continue to try to be fiscally prudent, get some things done. Again, we're like Taffy. Somebody wants a soccer field, somebody wants a lacrosse field. There's a lot of things to get done. Transparency. Again, I said we have nothing to hide. The meetings are open, and we're soon going to have internet. So that's all I had. Just thanks everybody for coming. Thank you.
Ask you to please vote for me for re-election. What I bring to the table is my years of experience and understanding of the financial aspects of it. And I've been a lifelong resident here. It's my way of giving back, playing ball in all the fields as Glenn did, and as for the children. So it's just something that it's in my heart, and I'd like to continue to do it with your support. So I appreciate your vote and re-election. Thank you.
Thank you all, as everybody saw these nice smiling faces. One of Whitehall's strong groups with intense loyalty to those small groups, and that is a great asset. I look at Baldwin Manor Association, which gets dozens of people together multiple times a year to help beautify their park. I look at the sports groups here that are very intensely loyal to what they have. And I think having those groups, and I know that there are others out there, to have them work together to be more part of how council does its decisions and how the borough moves forward is a great strength that we should be tapping into. And if I was elected, I would work towards doing that more. I would work towards being an ear for and discussing all communication that we talk about. Thank you.
I just want to say thank you and bless all of you for coming out to such boring stuff at times. Well, council, we have a lot of people that come to the meeting now and then, but we have a lot of people there, us, and our solicitors, and they will tell you that they come to our meetings because they're calm, they're cold, they're collected, and we achieve many things. The people that we have work for us are the best, trust me. Over all the years, we've gone through a few, but they are the best, and they guide us in the right way. We look forward to that. It's not about me, it's not about you, it's not about anyone up here. It's all about taking care of the residents. I'm a resident, you're a resident, they're a resident. Because you become an elected official doesn't mean you go into a different realm. We stay in the same realm. So we work for each other. We have worked for each other. I have been involved, as you all know, the fire company, and many other things. So, 50-some years in the fire company. You know, I ruined my lungs being a volunteer fireman. I gave my body to this community. I've earned it. But remember, these people need to do something first, or equip themselves with how the borough is run, by being in the committees and being on the boards. That's how everyone that's on council today became council members. They learned first, knew what they were getting into, and came. We have tons of laws that protect us and also don't allow us to do things that we might like to do. Our solicitor, as you are and will remind us of that. Just whoever wins, please, all I want you to do is to be worthy in your heart.
Thank you, everyone, for coming. I actually was the one who approached the Democratic Committee to call for this meeting, to have the opportunity to introduce myself and my fellow candidates to you. Not everyone has the opportunity to come to council. I've been to council twice in the past 4 months because I've suffered a lot of personal illnesses between myself and my 8-year-old child and my senior parents who live with me. So, I ask that you don't vote for me if you don't want change. If you're a Republican, please don't vote for me because there are fine Republicans out here to choose for. I am looking to be someone who is responsible with taxpayer money, a very rare, fiscally conservative Democrat with a heart for everyone here and everyone to the conversations, just because they are perhaps not registered to vote. However, they are taxpayers too, they're residents too. I love
Well, I'd like to say thank you to the Democratic Committee for putting this on. And the other thing is it's such a great thing to see how many people showed up, because it shows that all of you love this borough as much as I love this borough. I've lived here my entire life, and I would love to use my skills and all of my hard work that I've done over the years. I'd love to put it into this borough. So, thank you.
Of the questions, there's a quick question I think the incumbents can answer. Does anyone know how long it will take to pay off the $7.5 million debt? I don't know if it's that number.
I think it was like
20 years. That's 7.5 correct number?
7.5 and 2.2% right now, but it will reset back.
Okay.
We'd like to have 2.5%.
Okay, thank you. So I apologize that we couldn't get to all the questions that you brought up here, but I know the candidates will be happy to, so you'll be happy to stay afterwards and talk to the people. For anyone, Baptist Road could really use resurfacing. Why and how can this be accomplished? Have you had an opportunity to serve on the committee? Would you recommend that anyone running for office serve on township committee first? Should council members have term limits? Why can't we have dogs in our borough parks? And would you be in favor of developing a written or documented long-term, at least 10 years plan for the borough and make the plan available for residents? And then, as the lady said, sorry for running out of order now. Have you attended committee? I'm not asking them to answer that. I'm just asking that afterwards, those are questions that are all available. Thank you for all coming tonight, because I know that you're interested in paying them $313 a month for their services, and we thank them for doing that. So that concludes it. Thank you very much.
Please stay and eat. There's a lot of food.
Okay, that's a wrap.